What we've understood with the climate of project delivery is that it has actually been very, very substandard. And how can we change this narrative? And part of the mandate of the institute is to, regulate project management practices in Nigeria. So that will include us doing certification, licensing, and accrediting both public and private institutions that actually deliver projects in Nigeria. And what the Chartered Institute of Project Managers of Nigeria try to do is to make sure that we bring in this professionalism in project delivery in Nigeria. And basically what the institute decided to do is to actually create its own unique methodology, which will capture different project management methodology across the world and make sure that we marry it into our peculiar space. What we've done is that we've already started engaging as part of the first quarter of this particular initiation between ITLs to train at least 100,000 artisans on this particular project delivery skill. That's try to make sure that we make it, a profession that is well thought of. So where we see the future of project management is in the highest place. Okay, yeah. So Dr. Oyetunji Adewale Bashir. I'm the head of membership management of the Chartered Institute of Project Managers of Nigeria, CIPMN. So it's been a long ride as an institute. From initiation, that's when the institute was established by the heart of the parliament, that's the National Assembly. It was in 2018 and it was gazetted in 2018. And part of the mandate of the institute is to, regulate project management practices in Nigeria. So that will include us doing certification, licensing, and accrediting both public and private institutions that actually deliver projects in Nigeria. So for the question asked, how do we see what is the prospect? Because of where project management is in the global world, we understand that is the most, if not the most, on one of the emerging profession in the world. And what the Chartered Institute of Project Managers of Nigeria try to do is to make sure that we bring in this professionalism in project delivery in Nigeria. And what we've understood with the climate of project delivery is that it has actually been very, very substandard. And how can we change this narrative? And that's why I believe that my registrar, who has been fighting for actually having a strong institution, he has actually tried to make sure that we are not just, an institution, but a professional institution that can actually bring the best out of practitioners. That's people already practicing as project managers in Nigeria. And part of the strength that we've built is basically seeing how we can look from within the federal government. That's try to make sure that we make it, a profession that is well thought of, and making sure that we meet the right quotas. That's the Secretary to Government of the Federation, the Head of Service, NDS, that's military department and agencies. As we can recall, the institute is under the supervision of the Federal Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment, which, industry, trade and investment, what it stands for. When you are looking at the economy and performance, you definitely look at investments, you look at trade, and you look at industries. And then what better ways do you want to define who a project manager is? Because we cut across sectors, and cutting across sectors, definitely you need investments within those sectors. And for us, we believe that it's a very strategic ministry for us to be under. And this, in turn, in the medium term and the long term, this basically will profit our project managers. So for the future of practitioners, people that are already, or managers that are already part of the institute, we believe that we're going to have this robust, empowerment program that comes with as in that comes with these intense capacity development of our members. So where we see the future of project management is in the highest place. That's I can assure you. We've made it a point of call as an institute to make sure that we give standard. And part of this standard is basically making sure that our project managers undergo series of training. And even though we usually hear from people coming into the institute saying that, yeah, I have PMP, I have Prince 2 and all that. We know you could have that. You have a base knowledge. But what we do as an institute is to make sure that, yes, we allow you to come in and give you process of training. And those training basically is enrolled for. And in those training, we have different modules that teaches you the fundamentals and essentials of project management. We understand that, yes, because the profession is a bit young, but the deliverables have been in time immemorial. So now how do you marry these two together? And basically what the institute decided to do is to actually create its own unique methodologies, which will capture different project management methodology across the world and make sure that we marry it into our peculiar space. And the way we actually deliver our project here is different. So what we do is basically we try to imbibe this culture within our project managers and try to make them understudy the processes and the methodologies that is already being in use, and also before we now give them an evaluation examination to see that they warrant the license that they get. So right now the institute continue to give a subsidized training for members, and after which you now enroll for the examination, and when you pass you get your licensing. So this gives you the authority to lead or head a project within the Nigeria economy. Last year in 2024, a part of the intervention the Charter Institute of Project Managers of Nigeria is trying to do is not just to look at unemployment at undergraduate level. We're actually looking at unemployment at even at artisan level. That's within the youth range between 16 to even 60, and see how they can actually be resourceful and productive. So we had this in collaboration with Nigeria Industrial Fund and developing a curriculum for artisans. So part of the development of that curriculum is that we definitely had this arrangement where we train the trainers, people that already graduate, to have the essential skill to actually deliver a kind of project management application to artisans. And these artisans cut across different job description. We have the mechanics, we have the tailors, we have the carpentry, we have the plumbers and all that. So what we understand about the application of project management is that we have to make sure that the initiation of a project, that's when you are planning that project, how do you engage your stakeholders? How do you implement the project already given to you? And how do you close that project? We put in this triangle of time, resources, and cost as well, to see how we can actually get the best performance and service delivery at the right time. So what we've done is that we've already started engaging as a part of the first quarter of this particular initiation between ITF is to train at least 100,000 artisans on these particular project delivery skills. So imagine us having most of our artisans having the technical abilities to deliver a project successfully. That actually will lead or will have a form of turnover in terms of capacity development, productivity, and economic development in its own sense. So per capita it will improve, performance and satisfaction of clients will improve. So in terms of the youths, we understand that people are already delivering projects across Nigeria. And part of these units or departments are meant to have people that understand project delivery. So what we try to do is that we try to sanitize and advocate for people already practicing, that's in public and private sector, to come into the institute, undergo our training as a registered member or associate member and become licensed. And these are not done as a result that, yes, because you're already practicing, you have to undergo that practicum. Those training is actually essential for development. And when you have this, what we believe with project management, that we can actually improve sense of satisfaction. We can actually increase our productivity as a nation because we have limited abandoned projects. And what we do as an institute is that we definitely still discipline our project managers. Because we gave you license or we certify you doesn't necessitate you to go out there and to do a quack project. What we do is that when we have a report of a project manager that is licensed by us not delivering a project right, a complaint by a client or even an organization that employs you, we can actually seize that license that is being given to you. So basically, we also make sure that we make our project managers responsible when it comes to project delivery. So PMO, like my registrar is always the so passionate about MDAs having project management officers. And part of the reason why this initiation is very essential for economic development or sustainable economic development is because you can actually monitor everything and anything in terms of KPIs, in terms of satisfactions, in terms of feedbacks and all that through these PMO offices. So the PMO offices are actually like office that will have they'll have staffs or officers that is a consultant as a project manager, certified and chartered by the institute, have his workers that actually helps to monitor those performance across board. They understand when a project is given, you need to monitor and you need to evaluate the process. So part of the monitoring and evaluation of the process is actually assessing. And assessing basically when you have a dignified and structured project management office, it gives you real-time analysis. And once you have a real-time analysis, return of investment is definitely a yes, because now you can actually project, you can predict or forecast where any form of risk can actually be seen, or you can actually know what an issue log is. You can actually understand the the responsibility of staff A or officer A in terms of delivering his mandates, in terms of performance. Roles and responsibility are being measured. So basically, a PMO office basically will give us this in-depth analysis in real-time basis, which definitely will increase the return of investment for those companies. And basically, that's what the Charter Institute of Project Managers are trying to do. What we are trying to do is that we want to increase the ability for us to have these numbers of professionals to man these offices across MDAs. That includes private and public establishments. And once this is attained, I believe that even Nigeria as a whole will have a lot of ROI, that's return of investment. I know that for a fact. Our operation roughly started like 2 years ago. So what we try to do is basically desensitize and advocate for why Project Management Institute is a necessity for economic growth. So for now, we definitely started engaging. We started talking with people in housing, the works, even under the presidency, the federal government is also part of the people that we're engaging to make sure that we make project management practices a kind of must do. And that basically will guarantee what we said, the performance index. And projects basically are not meant to last forever. They are meant to have timelines. And these timelines is related to the resources and also the cost of that resource. So basically, you understand that there can be risk analysis because you start a project within 2024, and then in 2025 you might see a rise in terms of exchange rates, which can increase the cost. So as an entity, he wants most of these NDAs to also have this understanding on factoring risks change, like the risk that can involve in project delivery, and that basically will not snowball to you abandoning your project because price change. There's all this change effect that is happening when you are delivering a project. So now, in terms of the mega project that we're having, how do we make sure that we are seen and heard? It's basically, yes, we started writing letters already. In short, we are even asking for courtesy visits to most of this project management, project that is already ongoing, and also sensitize the ministers or the permanent secretary in charge of those ministries on why their operators or project management team have to enroll with the institute. Because the institute, what we try to do is that we continue to enact methodologies in terms of applications, and once you have this essential knowledge, it will help you in terms of your skill sets. Like the DUCAP methodology that the institute is processing has 4 elements, and part of the 4 elements is for us to actually use activity areas. You need to understand the team and knowledge of what practices they are actually delivering. So now we understand that there are different sectors, and in those sectors, definitely there are specialization. So for you as a project manager, you need to be well skilled in terms of the methodology that you want to use for that particular project. So we look at pillar. You have to have the fundamental, principle and the logical thinking to actually deliver those engagements. Like now, the stakeholders management, basically, you need to understand that yes, you are operating in a community. How do you involve the community into this project that you are doing? You are dealing with governments, you are dealing with financial institutions where you borrowed your money. How do you make yourself accountable? So all these things are within the methodology of project delivery. So you need to understand that. Then we look at delivery, as we said, that delivering process. How do you account for your delivery? How do you allow your process to be monitored? How do you evaluate that process? How do you give them the account? Who do you need to report to? What form of reporting do you need to do? How do you communicate with your stakeholders, basically? Because now, a stakeholder A can actually, as in, be more conversant with texting. Why stakeholder B wants call for you to report what exactly is happening on that project. Like some will have actually want it maybe weekly or monthly in terms of record of reports. So you need to know how to manage all the stakeholders and what is the level of the influence on that particular project that you're handling. So what record do you need to give to certain stakeholders? It's not everybody that you give all the same report. So you need to understand all this. Then the vision that the DUCAP methodology is having is that we just started barely 2 years, and we can boastfully say that we are almost like 1,000 in terms of practicing project managers. Then the license is already moving to like 500, and now in this January we are going to be having training already going on that will be going on by the 27th to 30th, that we give to our project managers for them to be able to partake in the licensing. So we have series already lined up for the year. We have our work plan already scheduled out. So now, in terms of our vision is that by the end of this year, we should have at least 10,000 project managers already registered with the institute. So we believe that these basic numbers can help us push for that narrative that we need. Because what we know as an institute is that we continue to improve the capacity of our members. Apart from the licensing training, we also periodically have workshops lined up for our members. So this cut across from the fellowship to the charter to the associates to the graduates and to the students. You can attend those trainings And in those trainings, you'll be taught real life simulations of how certain project actually works. So basically what we do as an institute is that we actually increase capacity. That's the human development index is most of our priority. Our mandate is basically once increase the resource, that's the human resource, definitely performance is guaranteed. So it's not just giving certificates or giving license. We continue to engage. So I believe, yes, we can make those projects, work. We definitely, first phase is basically meeting with the stakeholders, that's the ministers, the permanent secretaries, introducing ourselves. Some of them we've already did that, we've already done that, but we continue to engage and make sure that the presidency, like Adewale is also our member. She's actually an honorary fellow in the CDCU, that's the delivery unit of the presidency. The ones that monitor projects, at least not less than 70 of our staffs are already member of the institute, and these are coordinators of projects within MDAs. So basically we actually share ideas and also see how we can actually use what we have to get what we want. So part of it is basically like this technical knowledge base. You need to understand the fundamentals of project management across field. Like what we understand is that, as we said, specialization are there, but they are essentials, they are fundamentals that you need to know as a project manager. You need to understand some specific principles, and basically that's one of the areas that the DUCAP methodology that is designed for Nigeria comes in. So basically we are not taking it for granted. For project already existing that is abandoned, basically what we can do as an institute is to see how we can actually, provoke that engagement to revive those projects. And part of it is us giving recommendations in terms of the studies that we will do. We have our research departments that continues to develop methodologies and also plan for all this form of engagement. We understand that different projects have different peculiarities, and you need to understand those projects to actually provide solutions to those projects. So now for an institute like ours, we understand that yes, Ministry of Transportation and Aviation have different deliverables. And as a project manager and as a project management institute, you need to adopt what works for the Ministry of Transportation and adopt what works for aviation. So basically, these are what we continue to hammer on how to make sure performance are related to deliverables. What are you delivering on? How do you need to use these methodologies to actually achieve outcomes or results? So, like, I believe when we adopt the institute as a country, we definitely going to increase performance, and that performance in return will increase productivity and empowerment, and that in return will reduce the high cost of living, the inability for you to know what you, as in, it will reduce the inability for human beings to make choices, because now your choices are guarantees that they are going to work for you. So for delivering a project that are abandoned or reducing corruption, it's for us to understand the risks that are ties to different projects, and also putting into consideration when we are planning for those projects. Because now you might think it's corruption, like now a community, you are going to set up a project for them, but they might not understand what you're trying to do for them. You might need to sort when it comes to some deliverables. To you it's corruption, but to them it's like empowering them. So if you don't factor all those implications, you at the end of the day think that you are not going to deliver because you didn't actually make those risks analysis at the initial stage. So basically, and that's why the DUCAP comes in. Like the PMI and the Prince 2, they look at the environment, it works perfectly well. But in our environment, there are many factors that attribute to why project fails. And part of it is us now trying to adopt, because now we are using participatory approach in terms of our research. Like now, if we want to increase on our methodology as project managers, we go to those communities or to that project and understudy the environment. That's the EIA. We need to do the impact assessment, understand that the view of the user, the view of the person delivering the project, and the view of the person bringing the money. So all these things are brought into consideration, and basically can even help us increase our performance in terms of project delivery. CIPMN has already done something, and part of what we did is actually, to engage or to be in the drafting and even publication of the new is this CCMAS, that's the core curriculum minimum academic standard. So what we did was to make sure that we make project management a mainstream discipline. It's not something that you just come out from the school and you think that you can do project management and you become certified. We want to get them from the bottom. So by the time you're coming out, you're already certified and you can actually deliver immediately. So basically, you go through that 4 years of tutelage of you having this skill set. Within that space, you definitely have this practical time that even the fellows or the chartered members of the institute can take most of those students into internship and teach them first class, operations on how to deliver projects. So when you come out, you're already cooked. So what you're not doing now is basically giving solution, not you being a problem. So, and part of it is what I said about the issue of the super project that we did with ITF. Yes, and we are not just dealing with ITF alone. I think most of these humanitarian services military that give empowerment to youth, we are also engaging with them. I'm sure that as time goes on, most of these reforms and policy change that we're already preaching ourselves in will be communicated. I don't want to box the bubble, but 2025 is very interesting. And according to my registrar, he's so passionate about youth, and we believe that we don't need to japa. We need to, stay here, be very critical in terms of our thinking. And the solution is not going to an unknown environment and trying to, suppress their own system, because you can actually build your own system, like what the president Ahmed Bola Tinubu is already doing. He goes around, he's the #1 campaigner of Jakwada. Come back to your country. As I know you too, you came back to your country. What you're doing right now is basically you believing that, yeah, the country can actually change. You didn't wait for anybody. You yourself, you came into the institute, you said, yes, what can I do to make the difference for this institute? And basically, you've already started initiating a process. And I believe that process is just the beginning. So imagine that we have many of our youth that is ready to go through mentorship, come back and have many of our fellows or charter to mentor them to actually become people that deliver projects on time, efficient and sustainable projects. Basically what we are looking at. So we're already doing something. We've already designed the curriculum. It's already what they are using. We're already engaging business schools, doing some kind of special courses for people already, away from the undergraduate level, and they really want to take project management seriously. We're already doing something about that. I believe that the unemployment through the Charter Institute of Project Managers of Nigeria would definitely going to reduce, because now we are not discriminating as we did with the artisans, with SUPAP. So are we doing with the NUC, and so are we doing with public and private establishment or organizations. So we are cutting across boards, and this in turn will tell us that, yes, we are here to be the #1 when it comes to professional associations and regulatory body in the Federal Republic of Nigeria. If I use the word, I'm overwhelmed by what Multi Project Limited is doing. It's not going to be too much, because I understand that you actually wanted something and you've initiated that process, and now you're already moving on that path. PMO offices definitely is a must do within the establishments of Nigeria as an environment, because we understand that for us to change the narrative of why the people out there, diaspora, think that we are not working, is for people like yourself and your team, what you're already doing, showing the dynamism and the passion of youth like ourselves and what we have put in place to make a system work. And I believe through your eyes and your documentations, definitely there will be a lot of, positive reviews and also change of mindsets. So thank you. It was not the project limited. Thank you so much. This was